7 episodes, 7 layers of betrayal, from Marbury v. Madison to levels of scrutiny, from public interest to due process, from balancing tests to deference. Each step another ruling, another loophole, another surrender. The Constitution never died in one blow. It was carved apart by interpretation, piece by piece, until freedom itself became a conditional privilege. But this episode isn't about mourning what we lost. It's about reclaiming what's ours. Because the story of Constitutional Outlaw isn't tragedy. It's indictment. This is a verdict. The crime, power without consent. The American Revolution declared a single truth. Government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. But look around. Did you consent to bureaucrats rewriting laws you never voted for? Did you consent to courts deciding which rights are compelling? Did you consent to presidents ruling by emergency order, with judges nodding approval? Of course not. You were born free, and tricked into thinking you needed permission to stay that way. That's the crime of our age. Power without consent, law without limits, justice without accountability. The scheme, how freedom was fractured. Here's how they did it. Step 1. Judges seize a final word. Judicial review. They declared themselves interpreters of all things constitutional. Step 2. They created levels of scrutiny. Your unalienable rights became a sliding scale of government tolerance. Step 3. They invoked public interest. Suddenly, every abuse was justified by safety, order, or welfare. Step 4. They rewrote due process into policymaking. Judges became moral philosophers, deciding what liberty should mean. Step 5. They weighed voting rights on scales of convenience. Citizenship turned into bureaucracy. Step 6. They stopped guarding the law and started governing the people. Chevron, our emergency powers, the holy trinity of judicial surrender. Step by step, they inverted the republic. Now the guardians rule and the governed obey. The consequence? A nation unrecognizable. We live in a country where everything is permitted except freedom without permission, where citizens fear their government more than government fears the people, where every protest requires a permit, every transaction a license, every opinion a disclaimer. The flag still waves, but the soil beneath it feels foreign. The Constitution still exists, but it's treated like a historical suggestion. The same court sworn to defend it now dissect it, case by case, clause by clause, until only balancing tests remain. Freedom doesn't vanish. It erodes, disguised as progress. The verdict, who's guilty? Judges? Absolutely. Politicians? Without question. But the real accomplice, the silent one, is us. We the people let it happen. We traded vigilance for comfort, knowledge for convenience, and rights for regulation. We let them rewrite our charter because we stopped reading it. Every citizen who says, "There's nothing I can do," is already conquered. Every parent who doesn't teach their child the Bill of Rights has signed the surrender papers. The founding generation fought tyranny with bullets. We lose to it with paperwork. The sentence, reclaim the contract. But verdicts don't just punish. They restore order. This one calls for action. We must end the age of deference. We must demand that government officials obey the same Constitution they swore to uphold, not their interpretations of it. We must strip courts of invented doctrines that let power weigh our rights like market goods. It starts with knowledge. Learn the document. Read the cases. Expose the fraud of tests and standards. Demand plain meaning. No more compelling interests. No more reasonable restrictions. No more balancing. The Constitution is not a mood ring. It's a contract. And contracts don't evolve. They bind. The call to arms of the mind. You don't need violence. You need vision, voice, and verifiable truth. Talk to your neighbors. Challenge your teachers. Question your judges. Flood every public square, digital and physical, with education and evidence. Reclaim words they corrupted. Liberty, justice, equality. Because when you reclaim the language, you reclaim the law. The movement isn't partisan. It's personal. It's not about red or blue. It's about red, white, and you. If you don't know your rights, you don't have any. And if you don't defend them, they'll vanish behind another test. The final verdict, the people's court. Here's the truth they'll never admit. They govern by your ignorance. The day you understand your power, their reign ends. You are the court of last resort. You are the jury of history. You are the constitutional outlaw. Not because you reject law, but because you refuse to bow to its corruption. This movement isn't rebellion. It's restoration, not sedition, salvation, the rebirth of self-government through knowledge and courage. The next revolution won't be televised. It'll be studied, shared, and spoken by millions who finally remember who they are. This is Constitutional Outlaw, the people's courtroom against overreach. Because justice doesn't plead bargain, and neither should you.